her hair needs polish. You know, I blow dry it and it's frizzy and I just can't get it to smooth out. That's what I'm going to tell her about tourmaline ions. So it depends on what our conversation has exposed during that time, and if that's what is going to drive me towards which features to focus on for them. If we are using our Pro tools, so your Express Ion Dry Plus and now our new Express Ion Dry Turbo Light Plus, I really focus on the Express Ion Complex in those tools. So there's a really cool trick that you can do to show how powerful that Express Ion Complex is with a blow dryer. If you have your guest hold her hand out like this and feel the texture of her hand, then just hold the Express Ion Dry Plus or Turbo Light Plus over her hand, and in about 10-15 seconds her hand is going to feel like it had a manicure. It becomes soft and supple because of the Express Ion Complex. So just how it's going to polish and soften the hair, it does the same thing to our skin. So I show the guests, like, if it's doing that to your hand right now in 15 seconds, imagine what it's doing to your hair. So when I'm talking about Pro Tools, I really focus on the Express Ion Complex for my guests. But it's knowing the details of your tools that make it powerful, right? So I know you guys have been in this situation. My guests will ask me, hey, I was looking at irons, I was looking at blow dryers, or I'm looking at this tool. I saw this new thing on an infomercial this weekend, or I was at the mall and the guy at the kiosk, pulled me over and got me to try this. We have a very small window of time during our service to educate our guests beyond what they are seeing on TV, in magazines, on the internet, at the mall, and from their friends, right? So we have a very small window of time, so we have to take the opportunity of that time. And we have to make sure that we are knowledgeable and educated on our tools so that we can say, oh, they're like, oh, I saw this wet, dry thing. And it's like, well, you really shouldn't put heat like that on your dry hair. That can't be good. But we have to be educated on our own tools to be able to combat that negative programming, right? It goes the same thing with color, with styling products, with styling techniques. We have to be educated on that. So you know what? Anytime my guest tells me about a tool or a product or something they saw, I go straight to the internet and Google it. Because if one guest has seen it, that means probably some more guests have seen it. And that means that I need to educate myself so that I know what they're seeing. I have to watch the same shows they're watching, I have to see the same infomercials, read the same magazines, because they're going to ask me about it. I'm also going to watch the same, award shows and TV shows, because those are the guest pictures that they're bringing in. And they're like, ooh, I want her hair, I want that hair. So I have to be just as knowledgeable and see the same things that they are seeing so that I can give them the best service possible. Did that help with that question? Okay. So thinking of Christy's style in the end, I am going to do just a nice style with my Neuro Unclip styling rod. So if she was going to not be getting any type of thermal work, I would start with my round brushing now, with my Express Ion rounds or my Neuro rounds. But I am going to go through and do some dry refinement on Christy's cut, and because of that, I'm just doing a nice flat wrap everywhere.
So you would flat wrap first and then go in with your round brush?
Yeah, so I am a firm believer in pre-dry. Especially with someone's hair as thick and dense as Christy's, I can get her base to mid-length dry in about 5 minutes, still leaving moisture on the ends for the polish of my round brush. But to be honest, with Christy's hair, is a round brush from straight wet to dry going to give me much different of a result than just doing ends to ends? It's really not. So I'm thinking of time and energy in my finish. So I do normally do a pre-dry of some sort, whether it's a little flat wrap or directional pre-dry, before I go in and do my round brushing. It just saves me a lot of time behind the chair. So now you guys utilize an assistant program, right? You have Rising Stars doing your assisting. What are the first things you learn to do for the stylist through your assisting?
We teach them basically wash houses, blow dries,
Okay.
how to be 2 steps ahead on assisting.
Anticipating the stylist needs. Very good. We do the same thing at iStyle. It's wash houses, blow dries, and toners. We have our assistants help us with toners as well. And it's about value added. You know, where are you adding value to the salon as an assistant? It's really your job to be learning side by side with your advanced stylist, and then also to be value added for the salon. So if I know that you can do a beautiful blow dry for me, that means I could be applying another color. If I know that you can do an amazing wash house experience for me, that means I could be doing a hair extension installation or a color application. So for me, that's that value added there. Okay, so now we have Christy's haircut completely dried. And I'm gonna go in and do some refinement in the bulk of her layering. I'm gonna strengthen her perimeter slightly, and then I'm gonna soften her fringe area. Christy, what side do you like to put on?
Either down the middle or about
Okay, awesome. And I do like to blow dry my guests so that they can have a convertible parting. So you notice when I got to the front, just over directing it in both ways so that it can part wherever she naturally wants it to. So the first thing I'm going to do is strengthen her perimeter just a little bit. It's pretty good how it is, but we're just going to dust the ends. I'm going to sit forward for just a minute. After that, come on back. It's just so much easier. Anything we can do to make our lives easier, my friends. And because we're doing more of a rounded shape, I do like to backhand the opposite side so that the haircut is moving in the same direction on both sides. So if you've ever seen a haircut where one side looks like it's flipping out and one side's flipping in, it's because we didn't backhand one side. So you want your scissor direction going in the same direction as you come around that haircut. So if I'm doing a triangular shape, then on this side I'm going to be backhand, and on this side I'll be traditional hand position. And it really helps just to have the same flow of the haircut on both sides. All right, so just by strengthening that, it brought the entire haircut together. All right, so what else within hair cutting are you guys looking for? It could have anything to do with hair cutting, not necessarily the specific haircut.
I just feel like I do the same couple of haircuts all the time.
Same through haircuts, right? The one like the Bob Blair. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I feel my layers, I wish they would flip more. And I don't know if it's just the blow drying technique, not polishing the ends, but curling the ends more, or if it's the actual cut.
So you're looking for more versatility in the flow of it,
The
right?
movement, the actual
okay.
like lift up on the ends.
Lift up on the ends. Okay, so lift up on the ends, it's both. It's hair cutting technique and it's styling ability. So talking about styling first, If you're doing a round brush finish, lock your brushes. You know, work with 3 or 4 brushes at the same time, lock them, keep them in place, and when you remove the brush, clip the section with your Powertool Pro clips. And that's just gonna add a strength to it. And that's just like the science of hair. The bonds are going to form and last if they cool in that new form, right? So we break our hydrogen bonds when we when we heat up the hair or wet the hair, and they rebuild when they cool or dry off, right? So if we can get them to cool in that new form, whether it's I'm smoothing the hair or I'm curling the hair, they're gonna last longer and that stylability is gonna stay stronger in it. As I'm going through and texturizing, I'm just doing some interior slide cutting, and you can see the difference just from this side to this side, right? So I did 2 sections here. I haven't done anything yet here. When you're texturizing a haircut, and this is for any haircut that you do, you want to texturize it or refine it in the same section angle, elevation, and over direction that you did the original haircut. So if I'm going to soften this section right here that's over the ear at the mastoid, I have to remember that I held it straight up and I brought it slightly back in my over direction. If we shift our elevation, over direction, section angle, anything about this in our dry relationship, then we're gonna change the haircut that we created in our wet relationship. And when we change the haircut from the wet to the dry relationship, you're removing longevity and strength of the haircut. So if I went through and I took a horizontal section, whereas in my wet I took vertical, I'm gonna change the strength and longevity of the haircut. So always focus on the same section angle, elevation, and over direction in your dry relationship as you did in the wet relationship. So elevating this section, and then I'm just coming in and laying my scissors flat to the hair as perfectly parallel to the hair as I can get, and then I'm doing some interior slide cutting. If I were to come through and just point cut the ends on Christy's hair, it would be lost effort.
Because notice she's not to my scalp either.
No, okay, that's a good point. So the distance from the scalp to the ends of where I texturize is very strategic. Never more, if we're just trying to soften, right? I just want to soften her ends, remove weight. It's never closer than half the length. So from half the length to the scalp, I don't touch that area. So I'm going from half the length out. And what that does is it helps the hair to lay softer. Now, if I was working with someone that I was trying to create height in a certain area, or I needed to create volume and movement, I would go closer to the base, because then I would have the short hair pushing long. So it really depends on what you're trying to accomplish in your refinement of the haircut. So now let's say in this area we wanted some lift. We don't, but let's just say we did. I would take this section and I would find where the hair bends from the scalp. So see when I drop it down, you get that bend right there. So if I go from the bend to mid-lengths, that's what's gonna give me height. I'm not gonna go any closer than the bend. So I don't wanna go right on the scalp, because then you're gonna get those short pieces of hair sticking straight out, right? So I let the hair drop, I find the bend, so the center of that curve, and that would be my length from here to mid-lengths, where I would do refinement if I wanted to create lift. So if I wanted that short to push the long out. But we don't need that. Alright, so now, that's nice and soft. Okay, so now I want to do a little bit on the top segment. So again, going in my same section angle, elevation, and over direction. So here's my section angle. Over direction forward, elevation straight up at 90, and just coming in and doing sliding. And you can see what I remove in that is not a huge amount of hair, but it makes a really big difference. And this is what gives the haircut its longevity. This is what's gonna help Christy to feel like in 3 weeks she doesn't need another haircut. It's getting so heavy, it's not allowing me to style it anymore. So in short haircuts, long haircuts, this refinement is what helps us to have longevity. But there is a fine balance between too much and not enough. So if we do too much, we take away the strength of the wet relationship. So I say if the haircut took you 20 minutes, refining for maybe 5. You know, just a small portion of it. You don't want to be refining so much that you refine away the strength of the haircut. All right, so let's get Christy back into her parting that she enjoys. All right, what other questions can I answer for you about haircutting?
So for me, I know this has nothing to do with layers, but when I'm doing graduated haircuts, one side, my left side, I'm left-handed. My left side, I always start with my right, and I always feel like I do such a great job. And then when I get to my left side, I feel like I make it so much shorter. Like I get so taken back by everything, and I do pay attention to all of the things that factor in a haircut. I just don't understand.
So that's a really good point that you bring up, Christy, because when we're cutting in hand, so it could be a graduation, it could be a low layer, but when we're cutting in hand, you know, one side is a very comfortable side for us to cut. So your non-dominant side, or your non-dominant side is usually your more comfortable. So I'm right-handed, so the left side of the head and the back is super comfortable for me because I'm just palm to palm. When you get to the opposite side, when the hand holding that hair has to shoot up in the air, we lose our directionality with our finger angle, right? Because on the comfortable side, it's really easy for us to bend our fingers towards ourselves. On our less comfortable side, we're having to tuck our fingers in towards the head shape and drop down into our elevation. So one of my ways that I just keep myself on track is I focus on tucking my fingers in a lot more. I also do my perimeter first. So when I'm doing my graduated bobs, I'll have my guests tilt their head forward. I really push the hair into the nape and I cut my perimeter in. And I use that perimeter as the guide at my fingertips for both sides. So on my dominant side, that guide is really going to be on the insides of my fingers, but on my non-dominant, my more uncomfortable side, I have that guide of the perimeter at my fingertips, so it helps keep me on track a little more. I have a tendency to go longer on my uncomfortable side versus shorter, but it's really creating that perimeter first really helps me to do that. And then a lot of times I'll create that perimeter and I'll do, I like to use a carving comb or razor of some sort in the nape area on most of my guests. And when you do it with a razor, it's a lot easier to maintain the same hand position all the way throughout, right? So if I can at least section off from occipital to mastoid, if I can get that bottom nape area done with a carving comb or a straight razor, like I use a straight feather razor, no guard. It's one of my favorite things. The rest of the girls in the salon, they borrow mine once in a while and they're like, oh my God, Oz, it's so scary to use that. But I love it. So, but with a razor, I can take vertical sections in that nape area and maintain the same hand position. I can control my over direction to create square, round, or triangular, but I can at least keep my same finger hand position on both sides with a razor, and it keeps me on point more. Does that help?
Yeah, that's typically how I do them.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're doing the same thing. Yeah, because with scissors, yes, sometimes I want that sharp line of a scissor, but I use a straight razor most of the time, no guard. Like I use the razors that they put in the shave, the barber shaves, and I can get a straight line with that. So, and I feel like it adds a lot more longevity and softness, and it's forgiving as well. And I can control more by having the same hand position.
I've never tried putting in the perimeter first. I've seen people do it.
Yeah.
I just was like,
It's a very Sassoon technique, and I'll say when I changed that by doing my perimeter first, because I was used to doing the graduation, blow drying it, then in a dry relationship standing in that perimeter. I found when I did my perimeter first, my graduation just stayed really on point throughout the whole thing. Christy, do you enjoy a specific shape in the front? Do you like it more rounded? Do you like it as strong as possible?
I just like for it to be blended.
Okay.
I don't like for it to look choppy. I like for it to be wispy and stuff like that, but I don't like for it to look choppy.
Alright,
And because my hair is so thick, it can look that way.
Yes. That I agree with. So what I'm going to do is I'm coming from just behind the the mastoid. So I'm coming to more the corner of the head and I'm bringing that forward. Because we know we like the perimeter in the back, but now it's what is she going to see? So I'm just bringing this forward and letting it lay exactly as it's going to lay. And now I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna carve out my slight C shape right here. And then I bring it to the back, make sure it's blended. Perfect. So I like to bring that, because most of our guests, they're doing this, right? They're bringing their hair forward. They're not laying it flat and then just bringing the front forward, right? So they go like this. So what they're going to see, we need to make sure that that is appealing to their eye as well. Now with Christy's hair, she has a very high density in the top of her head. So from parietal to the parietal, she has a very high density. That's why we made that section in the center a little skinnier, so we could take more weight out from the interior. But we also have the hair from the parietal down is gonna, it's gonna hang, right? It hangs straight from the head. The hair from the parietal up, it lays and then hangs. So it basically concentrates itself. And that's why you always get heavy to soft. So we have to anticipate that in our end result. So by taking that small area above the recession and then over directing it to the opposite side, and then just cutting from short to long. So I'm using the hair at the recession as my guide, and this interior corner is now coming off. When I bring that back over and watch it fall, we get softness that we didn't have. But softness with a purpose. I can follow that shape every time I cut her hair. And now I'll take a vertical section just in front of the ear. So right here, I'm going from about apex to just in front of the ear. And this is where I'll now come down and I'll do a little slide cutting, and it's really just this corner right here that I need to blend in. And now, as that falls, we have softness. Now, she does still have a little bit more weight there because she's got a lot of hair. So what I'll do is I'll take that same section and I'm gonna bring it forward and I'm gonna do a little interior slide cutting just to release some weight.
Why interior and not underneath like a deep point cutting method?
Okay, that's a good question. So the hair that is laying heavy, so if I were to grab it, this part right here, right? It all lives in one concentrated area. So if I do deep point cutting on the ends, it will lay a little bit softer, but it's still a bulk of hair here. So I want to soften it from the mids towards the end. So even when she styles it, if she wants to have it flip back in a style, or if she wants it to just lay very smooth, the softness will come from the base down, not just from the ends. And if we do so much ends trimming, that's the area of the hair that our guests put a lot of attention on, right? When they're styling, they smooth it, they curl it, they do a lot of attention in that front area, not so much in the back. So this area can tend to get a little fragile as well. So I don't want to shatter the perimeter so much that next time she comes in, I have to cut a lot of it off to keep it healthy. So by doing some interior slide cutting, you get softness without necessarily having to sacrifice the strength of the haircut. Good question. And then I can see right in here, we're still a little bit heavy. So I'm gonna take that vertical section, I'm gonna elevate it, and I'm going to do some slide cutting. But again, this area was brought back, so I'm gonna bring it back, and I'm just gonna do some more. And just that little bit softened that edge there. So a lot of interior versus exterior. Now, if Chrissy had fine, skinny hair, I would do more ends refinement versus interior refinement. So that's where I would shift that. Okay. We're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So I'm going to take this corner, over direct it to the opposite side. And I like to use a little clue from my first side to make sure we're balanced. So again, over direction, I'm pulling away from what I want to keep. So just that little bit helped to soften the exterior. So you see how now that tucks in. If we had just point cut it, you wouldn't get that tuck because now we have short hair on the outside pushing the long hair. So that's another option for it. I am going to do a little interior. So knowing where this is going to fall, I want to make sure I don't do any slide cutting that's going to fall into her front hairline. So I want to keep the strength of that hairline. And pulling again from the corner.
That looks so pretty already, Kristen.
What do you guys think? Definitely not choppy, right? And we haven't even styled it fully yet. I do want to do just another little touch. Because if she is going to pull it to the center, we want to make sure it's balanced. And I may just come closer and closer towards the edges as I do more and more as well. And then this, at this visual point, and this is why I don't use a round brush or an iron or anything at this point, because I want to see how it's naturally going to fall. To be able to see just those little finite details that I can refine if I need to. Is that the baby? Where's the other baby? Hi, Mama. So that's our finished haircut. So next we're just going to do some light styling with our neuro rod. I'm going to feel through it.
Mm-hmm.
It feels nice.
It feels
and skinny,
like
huh?
it, yeah.
Feels nice and skinny. That's my favorite part.
I like that with her density, you still didn't have to do so much refinement.
Right, because I anticipated what we were going to need in the wet relationship, and it saves me a ton of time in the dry relationship. All right, so I'm going to So I'm going to start with a little bit of our Aurora Wild Ginger Shine Spray. This is just a light mist shine, so it adds a lot of light reflection to the hair, and it adds hydration because of the Aurora extract. And it has some thermal protection in it too. One of the things that I do always coach my newer stylists on is that even though it doesn't say thermal protection on the bottle, it has thermal protection. It's just not one of the top features, because all of our products, they have top features and they have subsequent features. So I do like to make sure that everyone knows if it's a spray, it has thermal protection in it. So whether it is, from our whether it's from our express, category, or our Blue Wild Ginger, or our Marula, if it's a spray, I see it on.
I'm like, I felt it, but I don't feel
like,
it
oh,
now.
I got it. It has thermal protection, so it's really more about what features and benefits do we need for the hair. So do we need a stronger hold? So for example, our express category, we have hot off the press, hold me tight, and worked up. All have varying levels of hold, but they all have thermal protection. But if you look at the bottle, only the hot off the press says thermal protection, but they all have it. So it's more in the winter time, we could go hot off the press. But once we get into spring and summer, you may have to lift up to worked up and hold me tight for the strength of your style and for the humidity resistance. So it really just depends on what your guest's hair needs. So I'm going to use my Neuro Rod, And I have it set at 370. And we're just adding a little bend and snap to the hair. Nothing too crazy, but I do like to smooth over the top of the section first. So when you're curling hair, depending on whether if you let the curl lay flat like a ribbon around the iron or twist, you're gonna get two totally different curl patterns. So if you want more of that boho chic, you know, invisible wear, perfectly undone type of feel, you're gonna wanna let the section twist as it wraps around the iron. But if you want more of that avakui wild ginger, marula feel, sleek and smooth, or if you're gonna be brushing it out into dry waves, you know, those nice Hollywood waves, then I would recommend laying it flat like a ribbon. So two different results for two different techniques for two different end results. So I'm doing more of that invisible wear, perfectly imperfect. So now when you guys are finishing your guests, does everybody get thermal work or is that an add-on service? It's an add-on. What is your add-on service charge for that? $10. Okay, that's pretty fair.
What about y'all?
Ours is, it's an add-on and it's $15. And then of course, so that we say it's $15 for 15 minutes. Because you know, sometimes you need a little longer, so we do compensate our stylists for that as well. The only time we don't charge for iron work is when the guest got a creative color. So we put a service on our menu called Creative Color, and it's for anything that is not a traditional foil highlight or disappearing after retouch. So if it's the balayages, the ombres, you know, if you get a root retouch plus foils plus a little balayage on the end, that's all Creative Color. It's using up to 3 bowls of color in a creative way. So we do feel that if you invested that much in your color, we will do a type of thermal work complementary on top of it. So how do you guys do with tool sales at your salon? Kristen, you might be the best.
I saw
answer
one
that
last
now.
week. I'm the best one to answer that, but I'm the worst one at selling. I sell one a year.
Okay, gotcha. So what do you guys think
It could definitely be better, that's for sure.
Well, you know, your guests they have tools at home, right? Because they're blow drying and curling their hair in some way, shape, or form. So what do you think the disconnect is in that? What would you say?
For me, it's an expensive item, so I'm like, we've already spent a lot of money. It makes me nervous talking about that.
Yes, I do get the nervous part of it. I get nervous talking about it too.
Some of my guests will look online in the chair for the Amazon price. Or
Yes.
and then they'll find another blow dryer or tell me that they found another blow dryer, even if I did the education. And so I don't scold them, but I just
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. They're going to have a tool in some way, shape, or form, just like they may even buy a product when they're at Walmart. You know, it is. I feel like as long as we are doing our job and letting them know, I feel like I sell more tools by showing them techniques with the tool. That's where I get most of my tool sales. It's not out of the features and benefits of the tool, it's the technique. So I will show them how to do 5 different ways of curling their hair with a Neuro Rod, and then come November when the Neuro Rod is available with a product and a brush, it's really the best way. 70% of tool sales happen in November and December, and that's like worldwide. So whether it's from the kiosk at the mall or Walmart or from a salon, 70% of tool sales happen in November and December. People are just okay with spending money at that time of year. And really, I'm going to say most of it's in November. I'm sure you guys know, like, November is way busier than December. And it's because they've already, by the time December comes, they've already spent their Christmas money. And they're already going to the holiday parties, so they want to get in and out of the salon quicker in December. In November, they're like, do it all. I want to be beautiful for the holidays, you know? So I do find that it's more technique driven for me. We do those technique videos that Lucy Dowdy produced on all the neuro tools. They're on the Punctual Pro website, playing those, because we have 2 TVs at our color bar, and we play, one TV has HGTV on it and the other TV has the technique videos. Those have been really instrumental in tool sales for us, because, and it's not so much like they'll try the technique with their iron at home, and then when they come back next time, they're like, yeah, that didn't work so well. Can you teach it to me again? And I'll teach it to them again with the right tool. And you know, some will, some won't. So what? We just have to give them the best options. So I do find techniques help better than specific features and benefits.
I agree. So times that I sell tools is because they say what they have is not working for them to do whatever it is that they want.
Yeah, I agree with you. And of course, at the holidays when we have our tool specials, or like I noticed on you guys' take-home shelves, you have the buy one get one 50%. You know, the blow dryer and the iron, or the 3-in-1 and the smoothing iron. Those are always great items. So we have a lot of people that come into our salon where it's like we do the mom, the daughter, the aunt, the cousin, like the whole family. So we'll make sure that we introduce those ones to those demographic of guests, because you know, the mom will be like, I need a blow dryer, my kid wants a smoothing iron, but I'm not willing to pay full price for it. So that's when they go for those ones. So we do try to recognize those types of guests in our salons. That really helps with the tool sales. Okay, so now, as we're finishing up, I want to hear some ahas from the finish of our haircut, styling, product knowledge. What are you going to take with you that's going to make a difference in your daily life in the salon?
I think the slide cutting from the different, like for someone who has thinner hair or someone who has thicker hair, you know, doing it in different spots.
So if someone has really thick hair, where do we start our slide cutting from?
From the middle down.
And if someone has thin hair and we want to accentuate the lift, where do we do it?
From the curve down.
Yeah, you got to find that curve first. So that's another reason why not putting a smoothing iron or a curling iron or a round brush to the hair is really beneficial, because then you see where it naturally is going to bend. Okay, what other ahas?
The hairsprays and when they float or fall.
Yeah, so we can see the difference. Here, I'll just show you. Okay, so this is the Abaku Wild Ginger Anti-Frizz. So when you watch it, see how it goes up into the air? All right, so that means it's a lighter weight, a more workable hairspray. But when you spray Abaku Wild Ginger Finishing Spray Original, you're going to see it float down. So it's a heavier weighted, more of a finish spray. So when I'm doing any type of iron work, I like to use the lighter hold, or just the lighter, airier feeling ones. Worked up, hot off the press, hold me tight. Those are really my go-tos for iron work. And then of course Shine Spray from Abaku Wild Ginger, another go-to.
Now I know with like the no blow dry screen, it's supposed to make the hair dry faster. Now what about for somebody like Christy or me whose hair takes forever to dry? Would it be good to use with the blow dryer?
Okay, so of course I've tried that, because you tell me not to. So I have experienced other brands, no blow dry creams. 3 of the top sellers were from one of our main competitors, and of course I tried them. If with others, I tried it and it was like sticky, like you couldn't get a brush through while you were doing it. Ours does not do that. So yes, you can use it with a blow dryer. I found it to be similar to like a fast form or a super skinny serum in the speed at which it dries. But I did find it has the moisture of Abaku Wild Ginger feeling. So it's really for, I feel like it's more of a take-home product versus an in-salon use product. So we do, we have a service at our salon, it's called a partial color, and it's for our guests that They don't need their full disappearing act retouch, but they like to pop in between and just get their hairline and parting done. So we charge $27 for it, and most of the time it's a guest leave-in wet. So that's when we'll introduce the no blow dry cream. Beyond that service, we really don't have a lot of guests that leave wet. Most of them are leaving, getting styled and finished. Do you guys find the same?
We do pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. So it's so I feel like that's a great opportunity to introduce the no blow dry cream because they can experience it at that time. I feel that there are much better products that I can style and finish their hair with a blow dryer and an iron that are meant for that. So anytime I'm trying a new product, no matter what it is, whether it's a new color, a new styling product, a new tool, I focus on following manufacturer's instructions first so that I can see that it does give the benefits that it's promised, right? So when it says 2 times faster, it's 2 times faster drying, air drying. So if our guest takes it home and they're like, it still took me forever to blow dry my hair, well, it's not meant for blow drying, it's meant for air drying. So those statistics, those claims, substantiations, we can only guarantee those when it's being used as it's recommended to be used. So I do like to just tell them, like, these are for the days that you just want to throw your hair up and go. Or you wash your hair at night and you're just going to go to bed and you're going to finish styling it in the morning. So that's when I like to introduce that product. But yeah, I did try it, blow drying it. It's about the same.
I like that you said to start doing the dry shampoo sooner rather than when it's oily.
As preventative maintenance. Yes. I learned that on myself because of when I usually have hair extensions in my hair most of the time. 90% of the time I have leave-in. And it's just a pain in the butt to wash and blow dry them, but you know, so I started using it as preventative maintenance because I sweat at night, especially when I have extra hair on my head. I sweat like crazy, so you know, I would wake up in the morning, try to put dry shampoo in, I'm like, oh, it's not doing its job, and that's because I'm waiting too long. So anytime I've introduced that technique and method to my guests, I sell way more dry shampoo, and they love their style.
I never really thought to do that. It's pretty fun.
It's a very, I also think of it as like our theory behind the Invisible Wear brand. You know, when we launched Invisible Wear, it's because the trend in our guests is that they're styling and restyling their hair every day. They're not washing it every day. They're using a dry shampoo. That's why we came out with 2 dry shampoos in the Invisible Wear brand, is because that's the habit of our guests. That's the trend that our guests are doing. They're styling and restyling, so they need a different product for each day, for a different style, but they want it to be extended. So experiencing those dry shampoos, dry foams, whenever they can. Okay, what else? What other ahas do we have or shifts we're gonna make this week?
I like the way that you soften the front without taking away from the shape of it.
Very cool. Yeah, definitely if they have a thicker, denser canvas of hair, softening from the interior of the section, but if they have a finer canvas of hair, softening from the exterior of the section. And then what was the kind of key part that I said about how you refine any haircut? You're going to refine it in the same way
That you cut it.
yeah, so same elevation, over direction, section angle that you did the original haircut, and that's going to give you more longevity. So, you know, sometimes we say your haircut's going to self-destruct after about 4 to 6 weeks. That's when you need to come back in. You'll get a longer shape, a longer strength in your shape if you refine it the same way that you cut it. Okay, what about tools? So what are some of the features we learned about our neuro tools? Tourmaline! And what is tourmaline?
Soften.
Yeah, I'm gonna try polishing a finger.
Yeah, so with your Express Ion Dry Plus, so your Pro Tools, that's the one that has the Express Ion Complex, and that's where you're gonna feel that softness in your hands. And I just tell my guests, if it's gonna do it for your hands, imagine what it does for your hair. And they're just like, oh my gosh. You know, because every blow dryer in the market now says ionic and all of that, but our Express Ion Complex is different in that it has negative ions that are attracted to the negative ions in our hair. So our hair has an equal balance of positive and negative. That's what healthy hair is. But when we do things to make it unhealthy, like color it, lighten it, curve it, relax it, use lots of heat tools, we throw that balance off, so we end up with more negative than positive. And if you remember from math class, negative times negative equals positive. So you've got those negative ions in the express ion complex, and they're attracted to the negative ions in your hair, and that gives you an equal balance and a more positively charged hair. Okay, so what else are you guys going to do this week that is going to change the way you do things in the salon? It's going to make you more money, it's going to save you time. What else are you going to do this week?
Especially for like the graduations, cutting that outline first. Because I do it, I've always done it where, you know, you kind of put the shape, the outline when it's dry.
Yeah,
And I feel
that's
like
how I was taught too. I love watching sassoon cutting. You know, most of our artistic directors were sassoon trained, so it's very relatable. So just watching the principles, the ABCs, you can just go on YouTube and watch it. I mean, definitely one day take their academy, but if you just go online and watch it, that's how they do all of their graduated shapes. They put the perimeter in first and use that as their guide. So I've just found a lot of success with that.
And so in the same way as you, I find like my dominant side is longer.
Yes, yeah, my dominant side always comes out longer. I'm like, how did this happen? Even if I'm focusing on it. But at least we know it happens to all of us. You know? Okay, what about our consultation? So I had asked Christy some very specific questions in her consultation about her texture. What are you guys thinking about that? So I asked Christy, you know, when you release weight in your hair, does it tighten your texture or does it loosen it? So that led me in the direction of what length to take her layers, how light to make them, or in reverse, how weighted to make them, because it makes a difference in the end result. I'm going to finish off with just a little bit of styling treatment oil.
I don't remember your response.
Christy, what was your response?
It gets a little more curly.
Get tighter,
It springs up a little bit.
and her texture has changed since she's had kids. So it's gotten a little bit more texture. It was a little bit smoother before. Always just as dense, right?
Yeah.
You always had the density. Yeah, I remember even when you were a future professional, you had this density. But it has gotten more textured, more movement since she's had the babies, which is very common for your texture to completely change. So my sectioning for her styling, I just started in the back and I worked diagonal forward sections all the way forward and alternated the direction of my curls. So I do this with my unclipped rod and cone work, and also with my like rod and shell irons. So like my Express Ion Curl XL and regular, and then my new Express Gold curls. This is the shape, and that's how you get that nice wave in the front. And then if you wanted to, you could even style these out into nice Hollywood glam waves. Okay, so I'm going to take a peek on this. Alright. So we are going to get a mirror for Miss Chrissy so you can see your beautiful cut. And we'll go out and do a photo shoot. But I just want to thank you guys for your time and dedication today. I know for most of you it's your day off, so thank you for spending your time to come in and advance your education. I'd definitely like to ask that you share with your fellow team members some of your favorite tips and tricks. So if you're about to use one of these techniques on a guest over the next week, what I'd like for you to do is just call a friend, colleague over and show them that trick and share with them the information. The best way for us to change our habits and behaviors is to share what we learn. So just remember, as my good friend 50 Cent says, change your style up and watch the money pile up. Thank you guys. All right, so let's go on to a little photo shoot out on the floor, because you guys have a band.